Hey everyone, it's Types. Today I'm doing my possibly final tier list for now. And I'm going to be ranking all the Radiant Pokemon. I did not make this tier list, so there should be a link to this tier list down below in the description. But Radiant Pokemon, if you don't know, are Pokemon that you can only play one Radiant Pokemon in your deck, so you can't play both a Radiant Charizard and Radiant Venusaur in the same deck. They're kind of like Prism Star Pokemon, kind of like Ace Spec cards, kind of like things related to that, but I definitely say they're not super powerful. They're like stronger than regular Pokemon, and they're all basics as well. Even if like Charizard, Radiant Charizard here is a basic, which is kind of cool. So we see them. They're kind of fun. They're strong, but you don't need a Radiant in every deck. I'd say maybe half the decks usually play Radiant Pokemon. They're very powerful when they have synergy with the deck, but they don't necessarily have synergy with every deck. And they'll start in relatively the order they're released in. Starting here with the Radiant Eevee, which I don't think was actually released first, but it's a promo, so we'll talk about it first. Its attack here, which I can't read and I don't remember what it's called, but pretty much it says for each different type of Pokemon you have in play, you get to search your deck for a card. This is okay, right? Searching your deck for Pokemon or for anything is good. And if you have a full diverse bench and active where you have 6 different types, you could theoretically have more, but let's be honest, you're not going to have more than 6. If you have 6 different types, though, you got to search deck for 6 cards, which is really powerful on an attack. And that being said, a lot of people make the argument that people will just disrupt you, which is kind of true. And also at the same time, you're wasting your attack. It's okay. I'll put it in C tier. I think it has value in control decks. It doesn't really see any play, but I think it's okay. I don't think it's an awful one by any means. I think it's worth running in some things. There's some other ones that kind of outclass it though, so it's okay. It can be really strong, but it's kind of awkward to use. Next up, Radiant Greninja, which is, in my opinion, like easily the best. I think most people generally agree with this. It has a solid attack that does 90 to 2 your opponent's Pokemon for water color, so you do need to discard 2 energy attached. But it's a single prizer. Also, the HP is cut off. Radiant Eevee is I don't know what Radiant Eevee's HP is. It's not that high. Radiant Greninja is like 130, so it'll live something, but it doesn't always live something. And it actually probably won't live. It won't live attacks most of the time. So the fact that you have to discard energy isn't the end of the world. And this ability, absolutely insane here. Concealed cards, you discard a card or an energy from your hand to draw 2 cards. This is kind of like a nerfed version of the discard 1, draw 2 effects we've seen with Make Do, Trade, Refinement, a very powerful abilities throughout the year. And of course, this only discards energy, so it can only be played in decks that really think they can afford to get rid of those energies, and that generally play a bunch of energies. But in those decks, it's very powerful. I think Radiant Greninja is by far the best Radiant. Also, Water typing is like definitely one of the best types to be in the game, if not the best. And Radiant Greninja is a big part of that, but we also see that there's so many good water type cards or cards that use water type energy, such as the Gutra V-Star, Palkia V-Star, which isn't the most powerful deck right now, but still a good deck. And many other things, Melanie as well. So Gudra definitely has a role as primarily a support Pokemon in decks like, why are all the decks I can think of bad? But you can put it in Lunarock, and you can put it in other things as well. As I said, you do want to be playing it in a deck where you want to discard energy. So, a deck like Darkrai V-Star likes it. A deck like Dalga V-Star also likes it. Not that you really want to discard energy, but drawing cards is nice. And honestly, there are many decks in the game, surprisingly, that use this as the only draw engine, which is a bit risky in my opinion. It doesn't have perfect synergy with anything, except for Lost Zone, which can power it up very easily, and it has a moderately strong draw engine, but Greninja is a nice piece to elevate it to a more consistent level. It's like definitively the best Radiant. Is pretty much what I'm getting at. There's only one that rivals it, but it's not as good. Radiant Hawlucha here decreases damage you do to VMAXs by 30. That being said, VMAXs aren't seeing too much play. I'm going to put it in D tier. It came out at a really bad time where VMAXs were just kind of dropping off. If it was a set earlier, maybe I'd put it a little higher. Honestly, when it came out, it was the second best, but there were only 3, so it wasn't that impressive. I don't remember when Radiant Eevee came out, as I said, but Radiant Hawlucha is like okay. If you're really struggling with VMAXs in particular, it's good, but generally that's not a huge deal. There are many cards you'd rather have over this because it doesn't provide too much value in many matchups. Radiant Heatran, I'll put in B tier. Has a really interesting attack here for Fire Colors. It's C tier. Fire colorless, it does 70 for each damage counter on it. So the idea is you Magma Base into it. This used to be not very feasible because you need to Magma Base into Radiant Heatran, and you also need to be Magma Basing to your attacker, and you obviously can't do that at the same time. But now you're in a really interesting spot where the new Armor Rouge actually enables Radiant Heatran a ton. You Magma Base into the Radiant Heatran, and then move the energy off using Armor Rouge's Fire. I don't remember the name of the ability. It might be Fire Off or something. Moves the energy to the active, allowing you to do damage to your attacker, and also have this Pokemon on the bench threatening some scary stuff, but not actually having any energy. And it's not like hindering you in any way, really. So I think Radiant Heatran is viable now. That being said, Fire is not super strong still, so I'll just leave it in C tier for now. I think it's actually deserves B tier, but no one's playing it. And the big reason why no one's playing it is Radiant Charizard. Easily the second best Radiant. There's some other ones that are solid, but Radiant Charizard is amazing for 254. Fire, colorless. You can't attack again next turn. It also has 160 HP, so it can definitely survive hits, but because you can't attack again next turn, it's a bit awkward to stream depending on what deck you're running. And the search cost is moderately high as well. But Radiant Charizard here has a really nice ability that says your attack costs 1 colorless less for each prize your opponent's taken. So if your opponent's taken 4 prizes, this only costs 1 fire, which is generally what you'll be going for. In the later third of the game or whatever, you'll be attacking for only 1 fire, doing 250. That's just like essentially the best, most efficient attack in the game. It's a bit hard to judge that, but it certainly is in contention for that. Of course, the rest of the game is kind of just useless. So I'll leave it in A tier. This is, as I said, definitely in contention for the best Radiant, but it's not as good as Radiant Greninja, I don't think. It's not as versatile, and it isn't as impressive either. That being said, it's actually had whole decks built around it. It's a pretty insane card, and it's Charizard, so everyone loves Charizard too, but I'll just leave it in A tier for now. And then we see Radiant Venusaur, not too bad, from the same set as Radiant Charizard, of course. And its ability says that at the end of your turn, you can draw till you have 4 cards. Keep in mind, this is after your attack, after you take prizes, if you take prizes that turn. So if you take prizes, you're probably not really drawing any cards. It's had synergy with a few unique cards. That being said, it's not super strong. I'll drop this one again in the C tier. I'll actually bump Radiant Eevee down 1, because, as I said, Radiant Eevee's seen no play. Radiant Venusaur is one of those cards that is debatably better than Radiant Eevee, but yeah, it's an okay card. It doesn't draw too many cards, unfortunately, but it is really the only true draw card here, other than Radiant Greninja, but then you need to have discardable energies, which you don't always have. Radiant Venusaur, as I said, you need a low hand size. Quick Ball Rotating, that's also kind of bad, but I'll still say it's like C tier. I'm not giving you lots of compliments here or anything, though. Radiant Blastoise is, to me, pretty clearly B tier. Its ability says, and also it has like a semi-usable attack, I guess. But Radiant Venusaur, I don't even remember what its attack does. I know it does decent damage. But Radiant Blastoise here says you can discard a wide energy from your hand to place 2 damage counters on one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. This is like a mini version of Inteleon VMAX's ability, which is very solid. I think it's seen play with Raptor Urshifu VMAX and Inteleon VMAX and stuff. It's actually in close contention with Radiant Alakazam, but I think Radiant Blastoise is definitely playable. I think it has seen play, and I think it's a unique card that it's the only one that just does more damage. Radiant Hawlucha also kind of does that, and Radiant Treasure Bug, but let's not talk about that right. Yeah, Radiant Blastoise quite literally just does damage with its ability. It's very strong and very annoying to have to deal with. That being said, it doesn't always provide enough value with doing us more damage because of another Radiant Pokemon I'll talk about, as well as some other things, but Radiant Blastoise is certainly it's a solid card, right? Now we move on to the next set of Radiants. This time we have a Radiant Gardevoir, a really interesting card here that says your Pokemon take 20 less from Pokemon V, I believe. And that's like nice, taking less damage from Pokemon V. We've seen this so many times. Oh, we've seen it with V Guard Energy. It's okay. With less Vs, obviously it's not as good. I'll put it in the bottom of B tier. Yeah, I think that's fair. It's certainly a pretty strong. Actually, I'll put it above Radiant Blastoise. It's seen more play. Radiant Gardevoir here is really interesting because it just like allows you to tank more. Again, in contention with another Radiant. Surprisingly, they've all kind of like overlapped, which is very weird. but taking less damage is like always nice. It depends how worried you are about specific V decks, and also there are a sizable chunk of Vs that hit through effects, notably Alone. Well, they're all V evolutions, but Alolan Vulpix V-Star, Duraludon VMAX, and Mew VMAX all have the potential to hit through your effects, so it doesn't matter too much there anyway, but it's an okay card. It's pretty cool. Hisuian Sneasler, Radiant Hisuian Sneasler here. So I'll play pre-rotation with Galarian Wheezing, and may see more play with stuff coming in either the next set or the set after that. I'm honestly going to put this in the A tier. This adds more value very, simply. It doesn't require others. I mean, it adds 2 more damage to Poison, which is nice. I think Poison's a pretty strong idea, and I think Poison's been probably the best special condition over the Sword and Shield era, and it looks like it'll be the best special condition over the Scarlet and Violet era. Paralysis has been okay, but not super common. But then we see Radiant students are able to just dish out more damage, which is very good. It covers something that just isn't covered very much, and I think it's a bit scary for many decks to deal with, especially now that people aren't running as many switch cards, although that number is starting to increase now. But yeah, it's a cool card. Radiant Steelix is F tier. It's probably the worst one. It discards your whole deck with its attack. It does more damage for each energy you find there. There are some really interesting ideas where you can just purposely discard your whole deck. It doesn't actually discard your whole deck with its attack. It discards all but one. If it discards your whole deck, you just lose the next turn. But it does allow you to draw. Essentially have your whole deck exactly how you want it, but you need to recover all the cards. It's a very strange idea. But Metal's just kind of bad. You can't really pay this attack, so it's like the worst when it's F tier. Radiant Alakazam, I'll put in the top of B tier, allowing you to move 2 damage counters from one of your opponent's Pokemon to another one of their Pokemon. This is, of course, pretty versatile, allowing you to just essentially save damage, and honestly functions very similarly to the other damaging-based ones. Because it allows you to, say you 2-shot a VMAX or whatever, you probably do a little more than you'd like to be doing. So you can just move that damage off, and then you're saving damage, which is always good. More importantly, it's used in spread-based decks, notably in Rapid on VMAX, Urshifu VMAX, I guess. It can be very scary to deal with. And that being said, I think Radiant Blasters could be better in some of those decks as well. Radiant Jirachi, I'll put it at the top of C tier. I'm not sure where to go with this one. It's a bit of a weird one. Its attack on double, if you flip double heads on a coin flip attack, you instantly KO the defending Pokemon. Of course, the likelihoods of getting that are low. But if you get it, it's like so strong, and it can be powered with only 1 energy, a double turbo energy. And then we see this ability here, really interesting. If it's KO'd, you search your deck for any 3 cards. That's insane. However, Path of the Peak can turn this off, and your opponent can do various other things. They can notably gust around it, and they can put you in very awkward positions. This can't be like Martied away or anything, but it's still like kind of awkward to set up. You're oftentimes waiting for a Pokemon to die. And of course, that's not going to end you up in a very good spot, because it's just gonna die, and then you're giving up a free prize. So you need to get something very big off this. This is honestly very similar to the card that outclasses Radiant Eevee, and to some extent Radiant Gardevoir as well. It's a bit of a weird card. I think it definitely depends what your opinion is on the card. It's up to you, but I personally don't think it's very strong. Last, and starting at the home stretch here, we have Radiant Serena, very similar to Radiant Gardevoir. I'll actually put this one in the A tier, though, as it's seen play in Lugia, and it's seen play in other stuff as well, notably Control and a few other things. Essentially, its ability says heal 20 from each of your Pokemon. There are various ways we can spread out the damage, but more likely you can go ahead and just heal some every turn, which is nice because healing damage is always good. This is better than Radiant Gardevoir because it essentially applies for all Pokemon. Radiant Gardevoir only reduces damage from Vs. That means that if you just get KO'd in the first place anyway, it doesn't really matter, but I think Radiant Serena is a very solid card that sees play, and it's good. Radiant Eternus, a really contentious one. I'll put this one in A tier that I'm going to bump down. Honestly, these two should get bumped down. I was being too generous, and this one. We see that Radiant Eternus is definitely, I think it's definitely the 3rd best now that I'm looking at it. With its absolutely insane ability to accelerate 2 VMAXs straight from your deck into play. Then your turn ends, which is kind of weird. And it doesn't actually get them into play any faster than normal, but it is pretty cool. And notably, its attack here and does 200 damage for fire, dark, colorless, which is a very solid stat line, and its HP of 170 is very powerful. So it can be a very scary attacker to deal with as well. I think it's a very powerful attacker in Lost Zone, which I actually made a video on. Check that out, by the way. And also, it's like it sets up some very scary stuff. It seems playing control. It's a surprisingly versatile one, but also unsurprisingly a very clunky one. But I think it has like the highest ceiling, so it's going to end up in A tier. And I think it's also seen a lot of like consideration, unlike all the other ones. I'm going to move this one up one. No, this one. I'll move this up one. Radiant Treasure Bug now. Coming in at F tier. It says when your opponent, I believe, attaches energy from their hand to one of their Pokemon, put 2 damage counters on it. But as I said, Path is like very common. Path also hurts Radiant Guard. I didn't say that. But Path, yeah, is moderately common. Really, it doesn't matter too much, right? It doesn't really control where you put the damage counters. I just think it's a very bad Pokemon. I've never seen it see any play. Yeah, that's about it. It's bad. Its attack's moderately bad. But yeah, that's all there is to say about it. These are the Radiants. I hope you enjoyed the video. As I said, this is probably my last tier list for a little while, but I'm not sure. But tell me what you thought of this video. I've covered Radiants a little bit in the past, but I hope you enjoyed. And as always, I'm excited to see you in the next video. And also, if you enjoyed, I'd really appreciate if you subscribed and if you left comments. Comments are really important to me. I appreciate likes and notifications and stuff like that. Like if you hit the notification bell. But to me, what matters the most is, of course, subscriptions. Seeing that number go up makes me very happy. I'm sure you all know that. But also comments. I think those are probably the most important thing because that's how we interact with you guys, and I've been really enjoying it. I've been really enjoying doing YouTube. I will release my GLC video for 300 subscribers soon. Actually, probably not that soon. I haven't really worked on it much, but we'll obviously at some point. I haven't really edited videos before, so I don't know how it's going to go, but I hope it goes well, and I hope to see you in the next video. See ya.